Next time on a very spooky fine dining podcast, the season 1 finale, TGI Fridays the 13th. Oh, you betcha, pineapple's gonna hit the fan as Michael's son Juicy, or in this episode, Juice's son Voorhees, goes on a murderous rampage, and no one is safe. It gets real spooky, it gets real bloody, and not everyone's gonna make it to the end of the episode. Who will live, who will die? Listen to Fine Dining, the search for the most mediocre restaurant in America, break down a trip to TGI Fridays based on the atmosphere, the service, and the food, and try not to be scared to death. Hear the thrilling finale of Fine Dining, Wednesday, October 25th, wherever you get your podcasts.
You've stood around all week, but the waiting is finally over. I'm Harriet Langley-Swindon, and no one's keeping me in a box. This is Non-Censored. Hello, and welcome to another week of Non-Censored, the podcast that gathers all the best bits from my wildly popular and completely real radio show. I am, as always, joined by my producer, Martin, who I have to say is rather exhausted this week, aren't you, Martin?
It's been a very long week. I'm just glad to be sitting down inside and just not in the queue anymore. No more queues, please.
You did queue for a long time, Martin.
It was 7 days.
I don't think the queue was going on that long, though.
I got wild by the end. I was just queuing up in anything that turned up.
Right. Yes. No. It's sort of Stockholm syndrome, but instead it's I don't know what the syndrome, queuing syndrome would be, but that sort of thing.
Yes.
It was worth it though, because you were there with the people, and you got some wonderful little interviews with them, didn't you?
There were all sorts of patriotic people down there going down to pay their respects. It was, to be honest, it was a labour of love, but it was a pleasure to be down there. And yeah, I was very glad to meet all manner of characters.
Oh, brilliant. Well, let's take a listen.
Here we go, and just coming through the crowd now. And hello there. Hello, how are you doing?
Hello.
Hello, what's your name?
Mallory.
Mallory, it's lovely to see you out here. Are you enjoying the queue so far?
Yeah, I'm loving it.
Oh, okay. I can see you've got an open G&T there. You're getting in with the pride. So what made you come down today?
I just love a queue. Yeah.
Okay, so you're here for the queuing, but I mean, for you, what is it that this represents, this moment?
Well, queuing, it's like waiting, but more fun.
It is, yeah. I mean, I'm a fan. I'm a fan of waiting and queuing, but this is a very particular queue, isn't it? So, I mean, you do know what we're queuing for, don't you?
What? What are we queuing?
Well, the Queen passed away. This is where everyone's got their little flags, and people are writing. You've seen all the little pictures of the Queen.
We don't have a queen. It's 2022. We don't have a. No, that went a long time ago, didn't it?
I'm afraid to tell you that we don't have a queen at the moment. She passed away just a few days ago.
Oh, that's very sad. Was she all right?
No, she passed away. She's dead. That is, she died on the 8th of September.
I hate it when people die.
Oh, this queue might not be the queue for you.
I thought I was just having a fun time, just waiting, and I didn't know someone had died.
Oh, well, no, that's fine. I tell you what, Mallory. No need to be sad. What about the queue? Let's just focus on the look. We've got lots more queuing to do before we get to the dead body.
Dead body? There's a dead body?
Yeah, well, I mean, it is the queue for the dead body. When you make me say it out loud, it does sound a little bit strange.
Why the f*** is everyone queuing to see a dead... That's just morbid. What's wrong with everyone?
Okay, Mallory, I can't help but notice you can leave the queue if you want.
No, I can't leave queues. can't.
You're just clearly a lover of queues. Well, I mean, I can respect that. That's actually probably the most British thing that I've heard all day.
British? What do you mean, British?
Britain is the country that we're in, Mallory. It's the name of the... We're in Great Britain.
Oh, that's what they meant.
Coming up to hour 17 in the queue here, and I'm just heading out to meet some more people. I can see one woman here in the queue. Hello? Hi.
Hello
Hi.
there.
Do you mind having a word? I'm
No.
producer Martin from Non-Censored. I don't know if you've heard of us.
No, I haven't, but it was lovely to talk to you, though. Hello.
Hello. And how are you doing? How's your day been in the queue? Have you been in here for long?
Well, I just think it's been marvellous. It's so wonderful to be here with all these people. It really feels like a sort of... like the Blitz or something like that. You know, when the country was great. That's what it feels like. We're all together. Yeah. We none of us know what we're doing. And, you know, we're all laughing along and we're singing songs. We're joining together. It's just like this country should be.
Yes, like the Blitz. I suppose a simpler time is the thing, because obviously the Blitz wasn't really necessarily a good thing that happened to the country. But I think I get what you mean.
That's right. But the Queen loved the Blitz. You have to remember that she loved the Blitz so much.
Well, she worked as a mechanic, of course, in the Second World War, contributing not to sustaining the Blitz, but to fighting, you know, the Nazi element back to where they came from.
No, at that point she wasn't a Nazi. At that point,
yes. Anyway, you must be a big fan of the Queen to have come out here. I mean, how long have you been in the queue now? I know everyone's been doing sort of different times. I've been floating up and down all day.
That's right. This time I've been in for 9 hours, but this isn't my first time. This is my seventh time round for me.
You've already completed the queue,
round.
And you've returned to the queue. Is that correct?
Oh, I had to. I couldn't not. I came out the first time and I thought, what am I going to do now? And I just thought, I was just drawn all the way back to Southwark Park, and I just thought, I have to do it again. And then once I did that, I had to do it again and again.
Wow. Sort of like I imagine the first time that Oblivion opened at Alton Towers. You know, you go on once, but it's so good you need to go back and re-experience that.
That's maybe, but I haven't shat myself this time.
That's fair enough. No, that is better than a lot of people have been doing, to be fair.
Oblivion is really scary.
What could I say was your highlight of your queuing, you as a queuing veteran?
Oh, it's just the stillness in the room. It's just so wonderful. It's so peaceful.
Oh. So
and
it's the end.
That.
It is in the Abbey, is it? That's your favourite bit?
That's probably the highlight. The second thing was probably the birth of my son, which happened just on the second time round. So he's only seen the coffin 6 times, so we're never going to let him live that down. But we'll have all seen it 7 times, and he'll have only seen it 6 times. We'll be reminding you of that forever.
You gave birth in the queue?
Yes, wow. That's right. And I don't... Well, I
Congratulations, by the way, of course.
Oh, well, thank you so much. I'm quite a spiritual person, and I don't know about this, but I do wonder if maybe some of Her Majesty's soul has gone into him, and I mean, which is why he's called Elizabeth. And I just, you know, there's something about the way that he moves his hands. It's like a little royal wave or something like that. And I just think, oh, maybe there's a little bit of Her Majesty in him. And the other thing is he also doesn't like black people.
Okay, right, that's interesting. Well, I tell you what, it's been fascinating talking to you. Good luck and congratulations on young Elizabeth. What a chap. I'm sure we'll be hearing more from him.
Now, Martin, we did have an exclusive interview with Vladimir Putin himself, which unfortunately we couldn't put in the programme because he wanted to speak prior to the funeral. And I told him, I said, Vladdy, no news until choose, which he took badly. and took very much to heart. A bit too much to heart, I'd say, Martin, looking at recent events.
Yes, judging by the fallout of that, we may be approaching some kind of imminent nuclear war. But that's the cost of good journalism, I suppose.
That is the cost of good journalism, and we have to prioritise. And talking of prioritising, we did get someone very important on the show, and it was, of course, our diversity her, Eshaan Akbar. He came on with his hot and spicy takeaway of the week, and it was pretty hot and pretty spicy this week, I'd say, Martin.
It certainly burned my mouth.
Let's take a listen. Eshaan Akbar, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I hope you're all right.
Yes, all right. Dealing with a bit of a sore throat. Doing a lot of speaking, crying, howling. Really, this week.
You do sound like you've been grieving. It must be said.
Yes, it's been tough on the vocal cords, but I'm nothing but not a trooper, and so I'm here, and I'm ready to broadcast to the nation.
Wonderful. But this is something we love and admire about you, Harriet.
Thank you very much. Now, Eshaan, let's talk no more about me, because there are more important things going on. Tell me, what is your hot and spicy takeaway of the week?
Well, as you would have seen in this wall-to-wall coverage of the funeral of the late, great departed Queen Elizabeth II, there was some controversy as the Duke and Dame of morning television, Philip Schofield and Holly Willoughby, were accused of jumping the queue and using their fame as a way to see the Queen's lying in state. Now, they got a lot of criticism for it. Now, my hot and spicy takeaway on this is they were right. They were right to jump the queue, because this is Philip Schofield and Holly Willoughby.
Yes.
They're the hosts of This Morning. I mean, without them, we wouldn't know if it was the morning. Do you want them to queue up for 24 hours and there be no morning the next day?
That is so true.
Some people are there thinking, well, hold on a minute. David Beckham is a national icon. He queued up, yes, but David Beckham is no longer serving the country, is he? David Beckham has swanned off to America, whereas every morning, Holly and Philip are there telling us that it's the morning.
Well, they're investigative journalists, aren't they? So they need to get in there quick so they can see what's really going on. I think that's the crux of the matter, isn't it?
They're two of the best investigative journalists we've got in this country, frankly, and to give them access to be able to just find out the truth behind the funeral, to really uncover the truth behind Meghan Markle's behaviour in and around the funeral. I mean, why are we criticising them? I thought we'd be on their side, frankly.
I know.
I've got to say, Eshaan, if you don't mind me, can you hear me? Am I coming through okay?
Yes, Producer Martin, you're loud and clear.
I've got to say, I'm in the line, I'm in the queue, I've been here for a long time. I can tell you that on the ground, it's not in favour of Holly and Phil. I don't want to bring into question their investigative journalistic standards.
How long have you been queuing for?
I mean, at this point, it's anyone's guess. Time has no meaning.
Right.
I think it's been there for about 3 days.
For about 3 days. Well, look, I mean, Producer Martin, if you were any kind of journalist, let alone investigative, then perhaps I could understand that you wouldn't be in that queue. But as it stands, you are just a common person.
Eshaan, I would never claim to be a salt-of-the-earth sort of person, but having spent some time with real, normal people, I now feel that I understand them, and they don't care for it, this queue jumping. You know, I saw one child trying to nip in to join his parents. He'd just nipped out to go to the toilet, and he was set upon. I didn't see what happened to him exactly, but it seems like street justice. This
is actually very interesting, because the thing is, Martin is down there with the normal folk, the bacon sandwich, beer guzzling people of Britain, and he's queuing, and well done you, Martin, for paying respects to our Queen. But I would say that Holly and Philip are of a different echelon of society. They're a VIP lane for a reason.
Yes.
Okay. And yes, you're saying that the common people are angry and don't understand, but they never do.
I would say that when it comes to royalty in the United Kingdom, aside from bloodline, Philip and Holly are effectively our king and queen.
You know what? I tend to agree with you, Eshaan. I respect them a lot, but it's less about bloodline at the moment in the queue. It's more about bloodlust. And there's the smell of the French Revolution here. I think people are very pro-royal, but they wouldn't be beyond a beheading. I think something's about to change. There's change in the air, and Holly and Philip, wherever they are, I should say they should get to safety.
Frankly, it is safe for them then, in that case, to have jumped the queue and gone home. They did the right thing.
Now, listen, I should just say, for balance, that they are saying apparently that they didn't jump the queue and they were just doing their jobs.
They were
just doing their jobs.
Of course they were doing their job.
Tell you, there's a lot of different rumours going around the queue at the moment. Much like Glastonbury Festival, people don't know what to believe.
I wish Martin did his
Blobby
job.
had jumped the queue.
Martin,
was he invited? I just don't know.
Martin, if you did your job, I think we'd all be a lot happier. As if we need you to produce this show, and there you are on the queue, just finding gossip. That's what you're doing. We're spreading gossip and
Eshaan,
lies.
I'm against you here. He's there with the people. He's going through something, and I, for one, am all here for it. Well done, Martin.
So Martin, look, you're in this queue. How long are you expecting?
Absolutely.
How long are you expecting to remain there before you see the coffin?
That's a very good question, Eshaan. At this point, it could be 10, it could be 20 hours. I don't see the end of the line coming anytime soon.
Oh, right. Okay, so you definitely won't be home tonight.
No, I should imagine I'm planning to be here in the queue where I'll be standing or sitting. I don't think I'll see my bed this evening.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Well, I'll make sure that your bed is seen to.
Wait,
okay, now I see what's going on here. No, none of that, Eshaan.
What?
Martin, don't be distracted. Don't let him distract you from your purpose. You are doing a noble thing here, Martin. You are doing a noble thing.
Yes, very
for the
noble,
good
Martin.
Of the Queen and the country.
Stay
and
in the queue,
Martin. Don't be deterred by Eshaan with his wicked words. Don't let him tempt you away, Martin.
Absolutely,
You've been away for over 32 hours.
The Queen and country.
Whatever you hear, whatever.
The Queen and country.
For Queen and country. Don't think about your Queen, but your Queen.
Stay
Martin,
in the
if
queue.
you see what I'm saying.
I'm full of some very confusing emotions right now.
You must stay in the queue for your Queen.
Stay in the queue, Martin.
Do not try and speed it up. Stay where you are.
I think I'm going to be sick. No, it's fine. I can work through it.
It's good to have a jolly man in the queue. Now, look, it's not all about the Queen. It's not all about the Queen, although we'd like it to be. I mean, I'd have liked a news blackout for a bit longer myself. But we did speak to Chip Randy Jr. III from across the pond. He is one of Trump's lawyers, and there's been a lot going on there. So let's listen to that. Now, Donald Trump has once again been in a little bit of trouble this week. So we thought it's only fitting that we speak to one of Trump's lawyers, Chip Randy Jr. Hello, Chip. Welcome to the show.
Woo! Hey, Harriet. Chip the third, the Junior the third.
Sorry, Chip Randy Jr. the third. I do apologise. That's probably down to my producer not doing his homework.
I'm terribly sorry. An oversight, I assure you.
Hey, nothing but love here, baby. Forgiveness.
Chip. See, this is why I love talking to Americans. They've just got a lot of love. They're very easygoing. And I guess you've had to be easygoing with everything that's been going on. So
sure.
New York Attorney General Letitia James has filed a lawsuit against Trump that alleges decades-long fraud by the former president, his family, and his associates. James said, in short, he lied to gain massive financial benefits for himself. Now, I mean, what is going on here?
Well, first, Harriet, Woo. I just want to say
Sorry,
that's...
you can I just say you all right?
Sure. Yeah, I've got a mild head cold.
Right.
Woo, I'm getting over it. It's fine. But first I want to say that's shit.
Right.
That absolute shit. That what Letitia James is saying, that's just not true. Trump is innocent on all charges. And whatever case she has to bring will be thrown out of court, and she will be countersued.
Oh my goodness! Oh my! You sure you haven't got like maybe COVID or something like that?
Oh no, minor head cold. COVID is not real. It's a minor head cold. I am getting over it though. I am bouncing back.
Bouncing back. So Chip, it's interesting you say all this because one of his friends, I think, once said that Trump was the most persecuted man.
Yeah.
In the history of the United States.
Yeah.
And what you're saying here, that really, that kind of implies it.
Sure. In the history, Harriet, Jesus Christ, you've got him up there, number one, the Riz, number one.
Yeah, he had a really hard time.
Real hard time. Then maybe Augustus Pinochet, and then Trump in third, but he's getting the bronze. Persecution-wise,
which is still, I think, quite a good achievement getting the bronze.
Sure.
But I wouldn't be doing my job if I said that. So Letitia James has said she's found fraud related to 23 assets that were inflated every year between 2011 and 2021, totaling over 200 false and misleading valuations. That's quite a lot. I mean, apparently they do have quite a lot of. I know this is a dirty word. I know, Chip, you and we had a little conversation about this before we aired.
We sure
we
did.
Don't like this word, but there was a lot of, in inverted commas, evidence.
Sure.
That, yes.
Well, I would say, Harriet, that bring it on, huh? Bring it on. Where is the evidence? I don't see no evidence. She's presented no evidence.
There is the evidence.
Where is it?
They picked up a lot of evidence, physical evidence from the Mar-a-Lago. I think that's where they got a lot of it.
Well,
also, the tax returns, it's there. It's also in a different sort of business account details that came from Deutsche Bank.
Sorry.
I think there's actually quite a lot of physical evidence.
Sorry, Harriet, who's this dweeb?
I'm so sorry, Chip. This is our producer, Martin. Sometimes he's not really supposed to contribute, but sometimes he just does.
Yeah. Well, let me tell you, buddy, you're barking up the wrong tree here. There's been no evidence. In fact, the FBI agents that trampled all over Mar-a-Lago, can I just say they did not wipe their feet.
Do you know what I hear when I hear the word evidence, producer Martin? And I think Chip will agree with me here. I hear the word witch hunt.
Well, you and I are on the same page when it comes to that one, Harriet. It's an absolute witch hunt, and I've never known a man more hunted. So hunted. You may as well pull him in the Salem witch trials, for God's sake. So, he's
been literally burned at the stake.
I feel like the use of the word literally there is probably not the way that it isn't.
Well, in the in the US, buddy, the word literally, and trust me, from a legal perspective, that is the right. This absolutely literally means it's absolutely bang on. So
the opposite.
But out, man. That's why I'm saying.
I mean, what that poor man is going through, and I'm so glad that the Trumps have been speaking out about this, about the witch hunt that he's enduring.
Great family, strong family.
That yes, there's been some, if we're going to look at history, things like the Trump Foundation and Trump University, it's always had sort of claims of fraud. And when I look at that so-called evidence, I go, wow, this witch hunt's been going on for a long time, actually.
Yeah.
A long time.
Sure. I mean, through everything, through Trump casinos, Trump stakes. They were shut down because of a witch hunt, a beef-based witch hunt. And they were good steaks, man. They were prime steaks.
Really? I never had one, but I'm sure they were wonderful.
Yeah, shut down because of the Lumi left.
As his lawyer, do you see yourself more as like a John Proctor? Was that the man in the Crucible?
That's of Keanu Reeves, was that?
In the Matrix. Yeah, I'm like Neo, man. I'm seeing it all. I'm across everything. I see all. Letitia, I see her. She's going down. I'm dialing into the code. man.
Yes.
And I'm across it all. Bring it on, is what I say. Bring it on.
You're a man ready for battle. I can hear it.
I'm sharp
a very
legal mind.
ill man ready for battle.
Mind your head, Colt, Harriet, but I am on top. Trust me.
It was Daniel Day-Lewis, not Keanu Reeves.
Who's Daniel Day-Lewis?
Sorry, yes. Just to once again with the facts. It's
who's Daniel
Thank you,
Day-Lewis?
Martin. Who is Daniel Day-Lewis?
The one who says,
What a
"Because
question.
it is my name, and I will only get one in my life."
Who's that? Is that now? Is that someone else that's joined
very
in?
Impressive.
That was my Daniel Day-Lewis impression.
Never heard of that guy.
Really quite wonderful, Martin. What an astounding talent that I never knew. I didn't know you possessed any talent. So
I've
there
been
we
doing
go.
some amateur dramatics on the weekends. But,
I see. Now, Chip. Oh, Chip. Oh, dear. Right. Now, Chip, but before you go,
Sure.
I just want to briefly address something else quite worrying that Donald Trump has said, where he said that the FBI stole his will, and also they didn't take their shoes off when they entered the property.
Real rude, real jerks. They were real jerk offs, the whole lot of them. And those files, they're all neatly in a folder and in a drawer, and they just pulled that shit out and they threw it everywhere, man, everywhere. And they took his will. They took Don's will.
Who does that?
Did. The FBI, man, the bogus FBI witch hunt.
Yes,
sure.
Witch hunt.
Yeah.
Well, listen, thank you so much for coming on the program.
Hey, a pleasure, man. And
now, our interview this week was with British broadcaster and political commentator Iain Dale. An actual conservative, Martin.
Yes, absolutely. I thought you felt very at home with him. And a charming chap as well. Had quite the chuckle.
Charming chap. Now with him and Jeff Norcott, that takes our total of conservative guests up to 2. Martin, I think we could do better, but it's a start.
Well, you're all about holding people to account and challenging them. So, I mean, sometimes when you get people that you share an ideology with, it just doesn't always bring home the bacon in terms of you being able to really hammer those lefties.
Right, I don't know what that means. I mean, Iain wasn't as right as I would like, but it's still a fun conversation. Let's take a listen. Well, we're joined here by Iain Dale. Hello, Iain.
Hello.
Now, I just actually went on your show and...
Because we like a bit of incest, don't we?
Yes, yes, we do. We do like a bit of incest. I think it's a really...
game for all the family.
Yeah, game for all the family, and it's quite a sort of a taboo now, in quite a sad way,
well,
I think.
This is, I think, the earliest in an interview that I've ever been quite this nervous. I'm not sure we should be promoting... incest.
It's
I
not
just want to
promoting
go on.
it,
no,
Martin. It's just
going to flag it as a concern.
Yes, but that's what we're doing. We're flagging it. We're flagging incest
because
as a
we
topic.
want to be more popular on the Isle of Sheppey, where the family trees don't fork too often.
Yes, and I want to say hello to any people from the island of Sheppey who are listening to this interview. Thank you for joining us. Now, when I talked on your podcast, I asked you about being the lone conservative voice in a lefty media, and you said you felt that you weren't sure you were anymore.
Well, I would question the premise of the question, because there are loads and loads of right-wing commentators in the media, and I think I am a little less right-wing than I used to be. I always used to describe myself as a down-the-line Thatcherite. But when you present a radio programme where the general public are phoning in and giving you their views, when you're talking about universal credit and you get 3 grown men breaking down and crying one after the other, that kind of knocks a few rough edges off you. So I think on quite a lot of sort of social issues, I probably have become a bit more lefty. That's what everyone on Twitter says, so it must be true.
So, well, the people of Twitter do know.
Yes.
They do know these things. So you feel like you're being corrupted by your listeners?
Corrupted, that's one way of putting it. Educated would be another way.
Do you think maybe you shouldn't get rid of the listeners? Cut out the listeners.
Well, that's what Times Radio have done, and
Yes.
I'm not sure that that's really working for them.
Do you not think? I think that's quite a wonderful model. It's great. They don't have any listeners.
Yes.
They say wonderful things.
Well,
and they're really out there with it.
Surefire way not to be cancelled.
Yes,
Just
exactly.
Don't just say the horrible things that you believe to no one.
And that is the business model of Talk TV, obviously, because they have virtually no viewers. And I don't want to boast, because I don't do that very often.
No, of course.
But if you look at my audience over a week, I have more audience than Times Radio has for its entire schedule.
Oh dear.
Yeah,
dear.
I know.
But yet you're the one in the echo chamber, and Times Radio, the one that's sort of speaking out to the masses.
How am I in an echo chamber?
Well, because you have these sort of little listeners who phone in, tell you what you want to hear, change your mind. That's what an echo chamber, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Am I sometimes worried that I might be an echo chamber?
That's part of your job description, I think.
It's just because if I don't echo what you say, then I tend to get in trouble.
With who?
With no one.
No, because this is a safe space. This is a safe space.
This is a safe space.
I'm feeling totally safe.
Wonderful. So you briefly touched on the fear of being cancelled. Is there something you feel you could get cancelled by? Is this the threat that worries you?
It doesn't worry me in particular. The trans debate is one that I sometimes fear going into, because whatever you say, you're going to upset a lot of people.
Yes, you have to choose a side.
And I think I've got the ability to upset everybody. Like on Scottish nationalism, for example. I've been trolled this week after my interview with Nicola Sturgeon by both the Cybernats and people who we now call Britnats or Brit-Unes. Brit Unionists. So, and they are vile people. I mean, they are real trolls. And so to upset both of them, I think, is quite an achievement.
Yes, that's balance, isn't it?
Yes.
But do you think maybe striving for balance is quite really a wokey concept? And actually it works better if you go more extreme down a path. And that's, you talk about, you regarded yourself as a Thatcherite. Yet now... Would people regard you as a Thatcherite? I mean, look at Liz Truss or Rishi Sunak.
Do I have to
fight for that? Yes.
Oh, okay. I think I am, in many senses, I'm an economic conservative and a social liberal. And I think that's where a lot of people find themselves now, which wouldn't have been the case 20 years ago. You look at all the different social reforms that have been made, no one would really want to reverse any of them, I don't think. So I'm still a great admirer of Margaret Thatcher, but we're in 2022, not 1982.
Do you sometimes wish we were still in 1982?
Oh, it's such a great year, winning the Falklands War.
Oh, wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. But,
I knew you'd like that, so I'm just playing to the crowd now.
Oh, well, no, I appreciated it. Putting the miners in their place.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
What? Out of a mine?
Yes, out of a mine.
Yeah, but she was a woman ahead of her time, because she realised, in fact, I'm not being funny here, but she was the first world leader to talk about climate change at the UN in 1988, I think it was. So that's why she decided to close the mines, because she knew that coal production would not be acceptable in 2022.
So she was actually a sort of climate eco-warrior.
Absolutely,
yes.
Yeah.
And getting rid of the milk, because she knew that cows were adding to the carbon.
That was what first turned me into a Thatcherite. At the age of 8, when I was at primary school, you saw her as the Greta Thunberg, well, not the original Greta Thunberg. Yeah, because she got rid of school milk, and I hated school milk. So that was my first encounter with Margaret Thatcher, and I thought she's a woman for me. That's a beautiful, beautiful origin story. Do you think the media was quite unfair to Boris Johnson? Not really, no. I think if you haven't got an opposition, then the media has to step in and become the opposition. I think that's kind of what happened. Is an efficient opposition. There is a school of thought that says that voters, if they've had a charismatic prime minister, they then vote for a dull one. And if you go back to 1945, generally you have it all alternated between a charismatic one and a dull one. So obviously that's fantastic news for Keir Starmer, who is transparently a nice man, competent man, but hasn't got any jokes. You know what? Well, he hasn't got any jokes. You know what it is? He just hasn't got it. We know it when we see it. If we were in a crowded room of people and Ian Duncan Smith walked in the room, no one would turn their heads. It's the same with Keir Starmer. Whereas if Tony Blair or Margaret Thatcher walked in, obviously in Margaret Thatcher's case she wouldn't because she's dead, but if they walked in,
everyone would stare at them because they've got that sort of missing ingredient that Keir Starmer hasn't.
Yeah, the special it factor, which actually I'd argue Ian Duncan Smith had. I mean, I don't know if you've read his book, but it was really quite something.
His novel.
Yes.
What was that called?
I can't remember.
It's quite something, was it?
But it was
quite
wonderful.
something.
Brilliant.
The Devil's Tune.
That's it. Was it the Devil's Tune? It was the Devil's something.
It was the Devil's Tune.
Very exciting novel.
Yeah, I did read 3 pages of it.
3 pages.
Yeah.
I read 2.5, and I thought they were just wonderful. I really.
Sometimes a book's so good you don't need to finish it.
Yes.
You know, you just start it off and think, wow, just happy that it's there.
But talking of books, you've written a lot of books. You've written, what, 50?
I've edited or written 50, but I've actually only written 50, about 4.
Right, so you cheated.
So, yeah.
Wikipedia
And one of them
said
was
that you wrote 40
one
books.
of them was a bit
Lies.
wokey.
What was it?
It was called Why Can't We All Just Get Along? Shout less, listen more.
Do you feel,
just up your street. It's the essence of what you do.
With the benefit of hindsight, do you regret writing that book? Should we all get along?
Well, there are times on Twitter when I sort of slightly lose my temper, when I think I should have written a book just as f*** off you miserable bastards.
Yes, I'd read that book.
Yeah.
I think that sounds wonderful.
That's the follow-up.
Yes. Is that the next note? You're writing a new book about history?
I have got a book coming out in October.
Yeah.
Thanks for the opportunity to plug it. Called On This Day in Politics. Political History in 365 Days. So you've got 365 pages, 365 days throughout history. There's something important happened, and each 365 words long.
What about leap years?
Well, it's actually 366 days, but that doesn't really work when you put 366 on the cover because no one knows what you're talking about.
Doesn't sound as good.
No, it doesn't.
So I've been a little bit elastic with the truth.
Elastic with the truth.
Yeah.
Well, that's quite nice. We could start using that.
We could, couldn't we? Could we make that our tagline? Elastic with the truth.
Yeah, we're not lying.
No, stretching the truth.
Just changing
Tying the truth in a little bow, but then doing it in a different way.
Yes.
Yes.
Being economical with the truth.
Economical with the truth. Truth-tastic.
Are you just going for slogans now?
Yeah, just going for slogans. I'm just thinking we could do I can't think of any more.
What is truth? Because truth is means something different to everybody, doesn't
that's
it?
very good.
This is great. I feel
That's
like
very philosophical.
That's going profound.
What is truth? But also, everyone's truth is different. And that's what I say to people when people present facts. I go, well, those are your facts, but they're not mine.
But that is true, that everybody has a different version of the truth.
Yes.
And sometimes, even though you disagree with what someone is saying, you can kind of understand why they believe it. And there's such a distrust now with the media.
Yeah.
And I find this every day on my show, people saying, well, you believe this. I'm thinking, how do you know I believe that? I haven't even talked about this subject, but you assume I believe it because you think one thing and I think another, generally, but sometimes there is a little bit of a crossover.
If I was to write a book, 'cause you ran a publishing council,
Yeah.
would you publish my book?
I think you would have a certain clientele.
Wonderful.
I did.
say yes or
This is possibly.
No, I think that was his truth.
I don't want to make you go all fangirly, but I did publish Katie Hopkins' memoirs.
Oh, stop it. That's
I've tickled you up there, haven't I?
Goodness. Oh my goodness. Wow. Did you help her rise to power?
No, she was kind of at the sort of apex of her power, if that's the right word.
Was that before or after she got kicked off LBC?
That was before. If I had my time over, would I do it again? The answer, I'm afraid, is no.
Oh no, why?
Even though she did say to me, because one or two of my colleagues were a bit nervous about publishing this book, but when they met her, they really liked her.
Lefty, wokey.
Yeah. And I did say to her, or she actually, to be fair, she said to me, look, if there's anything I write, darling, that you don't think is appropriate for the book, I'm relying on you to tell me. And to be fair to her, I think there were only 2 things that I thought, no, you really can't do that. And the book was just called Rude! ! Can't remember the subtitle. And it was actually a really interesting read, I thought.
Yeah.
And it sold quite well. But then she did go rather off the rails, didn't she?
Well, she started hanging out in Africa, which I thought was a bit much.
You think that's the reason?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it was solely the reason.
Step too far,
Step too far. And using horse tranquilizers.
Yes.
Yeah, which I think stopped her from her work. Really?
Come on, K-Hop.
And now she's not on Twitter anymore. And if you're not on Twitter, who are you?
Who are you?
Who are you? Exactly. So if I was to write a book,
Yeah.
really, because sometimes I can get in trouble for saying certain things, but if I got my producer Martin to act as a person just to say, no, not this.
Yeah, sort of buffer. I do.
But that's your role, isn't it?
Yes,
Yeah.
I go through a lot of emails. Also, different interesting items have been posted in the past. I tend to stop that from getting to Harriet.
So you could be my book buffer.
Yeah,
Wonderful.
sure.
I mean, how much of this interview will make the final cut?
Well, it's absolutely non-censored, apart from the bits that I do have to cut out
Right.
for legal reasons.
So the bit about orgies
It was really a shame because the orgy bit I thought was really beautiful.
It was very
Yeah.
Of the interview.
It was artistic,
It was
wasn't it?
really artistic
More than one way.
Yeah.
and nuanced. It was a nuanced look at orgies.
And I was quite surprised that you had attended so many.
Thank you. People often are. And it's terrible.
Well, what was your favourite part of the orgy?
My favourite part of the orgy,
Lord.
so actually there was a bit in the middle.
Was that
This
you?
little man, I wasn't a bit in the middle. I was a lot in the middle.
Okay.
Either we're going to get a spike in downloads, or people are just going to stop listening.
Why?
Well, it's just I don't think
You've
this-
already cut the more exciting bits of the orgy chat. You were just asking me to recap on my favourite bit, which was, of course, halfway through, we stopped, and then this little man came through with a little bouquet and a little tie, and he handed out hors d'oeuvres. And it was just delightful.
Have you noticed that I just resort to smart? Because that's what we do on my For the Menu podcast, which I do with Jackie Smith. And that's the only reason it's become a really popular podcast, because they just wait to see, well, what we thought were straight-laced people talk about next.
Yeah.
Some people, you have to give people what they want, and often
Yeah,
it is
exactly.
smart.
Yeah, I think that's the way to go.
And before we wrap up, now obviously Boris Johnson was a columnist. Do you think this gives hope to other journalists that they too could become Prime Minister? And is it something you'd consider doing yourself?
No, I really would pity the country if I ever became Prime. Although I would like to be Secretary of State for Transport.
Sure,
Which I know pigeonholes me as a boring old fart, but there are things that you can do as Transport Secretary. You can sort of make sure that the Highways Agency doesn't close the A11 so I can't get to Norfolk on a Friday night, for example.
That's wonderful. And you could do something about your doppelganger.
Yes, Mick Lynch.
Mick Lynch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He would be exported.
Yeah, he'd get exported.
Yeah.
To Rwanda?
It's an idea.
Yeah. Could
I mean,
start
I don't think
with
anybody's had
Rwanda.
that thought before.
No. I think that's a great idea to send all the trade unionists to Rwanda.
Well, I mean, I'm famously nervous about sending anyone to Rwanda that
Why?
hasn't specifically asked to go.
Well, you're such a liberal, aren't you?
Well, I mean, am I?
I think you need to go to the Priti Patel School of Re-Education.
I really
Which is
don't think I would last
they
a
say it's
minute.
very hardcore, but also surprisingly naughty.
Is it?
Yes.
Oh,
Really?
I didn't
That's
know
what
that.
they say. The Priti Patel School of Re-Education. It's very secretive, underground.
Is this something you learned at the orgy?
I was going to say, I'm imagining whips are used.
Yes, well, sometimes.
Have you been yourself?
I don't need re-educating, but sometimes I go and watch.
Well, Martin, that was the show.
And what a show it was.
Pretty.
I mean,
Yeah.
hopefully no more queuing next week, but we did it. We got through it. And I think we paid our respects.
We did pay our respects. Please do like and subscribe and leave a little comment. That really helps, doesn't it, Martin?
5 stars. Why not? It's so simple. Just hit the 5 stars, leave a nice quote, say, hey, Martin sounds like a cool guy. Eshaan goes on a bit. He could leave off him sometimes. Isn't Harriet great? Anything
Yes.
like that.
Yes, anything like that. With thanks to Rosie Holt, Brendan Murphy, Eshaan Akbar, Paul Dunphy, Mariam Haque, Oliver Izod, Ed Morrish and Iain Dale. See you next week for some more Non-Censored.